Hello, how's everybody doing today? Great to see all of you wonderful high manifestors here. So today we'll go into our questions about the change in your life so that you can live a life of design rather than live in a default state of creating your world. Right, so let's go into some questions. Hello, Mark. Hi, how are you doing? Can you please answer me this question? My question, he says. What is consciousness? What is a low state of consciousness? And what is a high state of consciousness? Okay, that's good. How are you guys doing today? Does anybody know what consciousness is? Maybe you can comment below what you know what consciousness is. I'll tell you and explain to you what consciousness is. Low state and high states of consciousness. Consciousness is just the ability to be self-aware. That's all it is. It's just the awareness of a self, of events, of experiences, of your body, of your senses, of your thoughts, of your mind. That is what consciousness is. Now, there are different levels of consciousness. There's low consciousness and high consciousness. High consciousness, you can manifest more than one thing at a time. Low consciousness, you're only able to manifest maybe one thing at a time, or it takes a lot of time, a lot of delay to manifest things. So you really want to aim to be in a high conscious state of manifesting. Low consciousness, let me explain to you what low consciousness is. Low consciousness is the inability, listen, having a low conscious, by the way, before I get into a low consciousness, I would like to talk about the percentage of people that are living in low consciousness. Can you guess what percent of the world, 7 billion people on this planet, can anyone guess the percentage that are living and existing in low conscious state, in a low consciousness? Can anyone guess that? Someone says, Special says 99%. Well, that's pretty high. Right. Not 99%. All right. About 90% of the world is living in a state of low consciousness. 90%. Why is this so? Well, 99% of the information that streams to us, that we get, is controlled, it's deliberate, it's organized, it's an agenda. So majority of people get their information from what? From their phones, from their media, from their local governments and everything. So that means about 90% of the world exists in a low state of consciousness. A low state of consciousness is you have a lot of fear, you have a lot of doubt, you have a lot of insecurity. Okay, that's when you're in a low state of consciousness. Let me tell you about low state of consciousness too, and how to get out of it, how to get into a high state of consciousness. A low state of consciousness creates a special delusion in your life. We're all living in a delusion. It's just whatever delusion we want. Some of us, we exist in a super delusional, and some of us exist in not so much super delusions. But here's the delusion that 90% of the world live in and experience. 90% of the world in a low conscious state, they believe and they accept that everything is happening to them. They believe that they are not a participator in the events that are happening in their life. They also believe and accept that everything they see is the truth or the real world. 90% of low conscious beings or individuals see the world as is. They don't see the world as they would like it to be. Okay? That's 90% of people do that. So how do we know that this is true? Well, we have the world thank of quantum mechanics. See, 90% of people don't know that the majority of reality is non-physical to their senses. Approximately 99% of physical reality, or what we call reality, is actually hidden from the comprehension of our senses. Our senses can only pick up 2% of true or real reality. So 90% of people don't know that. So what are the downfalls of being in a low conscious state? The downfalls when you're in a low conscious state is you start to create by using force and willpower. You start to create by using default. So now let's talk about high conscious state. So the individuals that are in a high conscious state of existence, they are aware that majority of their world is coming from their mind, is coming from their thoughts. They're also aware that 99% of what they want exists in a non-physical. High conscious people also are aware that just because they see no evidence doesn't mean that there is no evidence. 99% high conscious people, which are about 10% of the world, which is part of you. If you're watching this, you're definitely a high conscious person. And here's the next thing about when you're in a high conscious people. High conscious state will always attract high conscious events, high conscious things. So if you're watching this, you only can see this video. It can only pop up. You can only watch this video if you're a high conscious being. You cannot watch this video if you're in a low state of consciousness. It will be out of your frame of reference and understanding. You will see this video and you will move past it because your mind is already acclaimed to a low conscious state of being or existence, which is no fault of yours. I mean, maybe one day you will wake up and get out of that. But for right now, if you're watching this, congratulations, you are a high conscious being. So now let's expand on the states of high conscious beings and how you can take advantage of that. So a high conscious being practices the following. High conscious people, they wonder and they think about, a lot of times they think about, okay, what it would feel like, what it would look like to have whatever they want. High conscious people act from a state of already having what they desire, not from a state that they will get what they desire. So how does a high conscious person pull this off? Well, the first thing that high conscious people pull off is they understand that the world is a mental world. So if the world is a mental world, all they do is they project what they want as an image or as a feeling, or they even talk about it. And when they talk about it, it creates this field. This field of energy is where your subconscious mind taps into, and then what they think about a lot and they talk about, what happens now, they start to come to it from a state of having it. So they use their mind first. Then what the high conscious people do, high conscious beings, once they use their mind, then they use the physical 3D world to expound on it more. So what they do in the physical 3D world is they use their mind and think about it. In the physical 3D world, they start to act as if they already have what they want. So I'll give an example. Like if a high conscious being is manifesting a house, what they will do, they will go out before they even get the house or know they're gonna get they will go out and they will buy physical stuff for the house. They'll buy a plaque, they'll buy some rugs, they'll buy a couple curtains, and they'll put it in their closet because they know they're going to manifest the house. If they want a car, they'll go out, they'll buy the mats, they'll buy the air freshener, they'll buy a steering wheel cover, and they'll put it in their closet because they know they're going to manifest. These are 10%. You're in the 10 percentile part. Low conscious beings, low conscious people, they're never aware of this because, again, their information is being fed to them by the media and their sources, right? So their minds are already programmed for that. So while you're in a state of once you're a high conscious beings, they also practice a lot of gratitude. They are grateful for not what they're going to get. They're grateful for already having what they wanted to get. In other words, a high conscious being doesn't say, "Oh, thank you, universe, for for getting me this." Okay, let me make it easy for you. Okay, high conscious people, high conscious beings, when they're grateful for everything in their life. They're grateful for like waking up, for walking, for clothes. They look for the smallest things to be grateful for. And when they're grateful for that, the next thing they do, they take it to the next level. Let's say they want to manifest a house or a car. They're grateful as if they already have the house and the car. So they'll tell the universe like, "Oh, thank you for giving me my car. Thank you, I feel so happy to live in my new house." See, that's what they do. High conscious people, they already look ahead of the creative process. They already see the end results. Low conscious beings, they see what is only in front of them in the physical. Now, I would say, what is the biggest separator force between a low conscious being and a high conscious being? And I know this is a live, you just joined me right now. The question is, what is consciousness? What is low consciousness? What is high consciousness? And I'll just do a recap because a lot of you coming in here. Now, 90% of the world is in a low conscious state. 10% of the world is in a high conscious state. High conscious beings, they attract similar events, similar experiences. You're watching this, you're a high conscious being. High conscious beings, they always encounter synchronicities. They always see numbers. They always have trippy stuff. They will always see weird things happening. They will always have what we call non-physical experiences. That is a trademark of a high conscious being. And the reason you experience these things or events is because when you're a high conscious being, your predominant consciousness is outside of the field. It's not in the 3D no more. It's in the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th dimension. And in those dimensions is where all possibilities and parallel worlds exist. So they're constantly tapping in and they're constantly seeing what they call weird, trippy stuff. Now, the biggest separation between a low conscious and a high conscious being is knowledge. Knowledge is the biggest. And let me tell you the knowledge that separates a low conscious from a high. The knowledge that all high conscious beings know is this, that separates them. They are aware that they are a participator in the universe. They are aware that they are not here. They are aware that they are being projected from another place to here. They also are aware that 99% of reality is non-physical to them. They know that stuff because they understand that their thoughts create their experiences. Low conscious beings aren't aware of that at all. So once you now you know you're a high conscious being, what do you want to do to remain consistent so that you can manifest whatever it is you want? All right, the biggest tip for high conscious beings are as follows. A high conscious being continually lives in the end of their desires. In other words, high conscious beings, they talk as if they already have their desires coming to them. That's okay. I'll give an example of what that means. When a high conscious being thinks about whatever they want, they don't think about it from a state of need. They think about it from a state of already having it. I repeat it again. High conscious beings, they don't see right now. They see the big picture. They see the possibilities of infinity. They see what they want already having it. And the reason why high conscious beings, why you experience it, again, if you're watching this, you're one of them. Again, listen to this carefully. Nobody that's watching this video can be a low conscious being. A low conscious being will never find this video. This video, the algorithm of their mindset, it will pass them. So if they're watching this, you have to be a high. It cannot find you. Even you're thinking to yourself, well, am I a high conscious being? This doesn't really make sense. Trust me. You're watching this, the universe says you are a high conscious being. Okay? So, high conscious beings, they have the ability to see parallel worlds of their experiences. What do I mean by that? They already know that there exist different realities that have whatever they want already happening in it. They know that innately. They won't come up to you and tell you, well, you know, according to quantum theory and the many worlds interpretation, we know that a particle can be in two places at the same time. They're not going to tell you the physics of that. But they know, they innately know it. Okay, so you know, a high conscious being is never going to come up to you. Well, some of them know this information. Some of them might come up to you and say, well, you know, the electron, you know, it can be in two places at the same time, and it collapses based on observation. And because of observation, because a particle can only repeat at a certain time, and the universe is infinite, that means all particles must repeat, including you and me. And the laws of thermodynamics also state that the energy we have, it cannot create or destroy it, so it must be transformed into another place. And now we discover we have dimensions which are compactified. Within this compactification of dimensions, there exist different worlds, different beings, and also there's a copy of me out there somewhere doing exactly what most of them can't tell you that. Well, some of them do, that's great, give your hand. But you don't have to tell that, but I'm just showing you that you are innately gifted with that understanding. So when you have that, you tend to manifest more, faster, because now you know how reality works. High conscious beings, they use the universal laws to manifest. All right. Low conscious people, low conscious beings, they only see what's in front of them. They cannot perceive the big picture. The reason why low conscious beings cannot perceive the big picture is because of their subconscious mind. All of us, low conscious, high conscious beings, also have a subconscious. But the problem with the low conscious beings are their subconscious has been programmed with a different map. High conscious beings, they deliberately program their subconscious with the map of the reality they want. Low conscious beings are programmed by someone else. High conscious beings program themselves. Okay? So someone says, Mark, you must come to the realization that everything is energy. We are all at the war. We're all in a war, a spiritual warfare. Well, yeah, you have high conscious, low conscious. If you want to call that a war, you can call it a war. I wouldn't call it a war. I would just call it different levels of awareness. Because that's all this is. All there is just levels of awareness, you know? You have low awareness, high awareness. That's what we're talking about. But I wouldn't call it a war, because we're not fighting and destroying or anything. We're just excelling to different levels of awareness. And so a high conscious being is on another level. Low conscious being is on a lower level. Now, here's the thing. All of you that is watching this right now, you want to know something? Majority of all of us were once low conscious beings. Then you got to be a high conscious being. See, the universe chose you. And here's what happens. The universe works with duality. The yin and the yang. So what the universe says, I have to put you in the low conscious so you can see what it is to be low. Then I'm going to move you to high so you can see the variables, so now you can understand and manifest. Now I have to tell you something, and this is the truth now. Unfortunately, a lot of the low conscious beings won't elevate to high conscious beings. And the reason why is because that's what they chose as their life path to come here. They specifically chose to experience low consciousness. Doesn't mean something's wrong with them. It just means that they've already experienced high conscious beings in another reality. In this world, they are low conscious. So what does it mean for you? You do not try to convince people to change their life. Some of them, that's what they chose. They already experienced high conscious, so they came back, they reincarnate back to this life to experience low conscious. Everything's just about an experience. So don't waste your energy. What you do is you can tell someone what you're doing, you can show them, you can throw the information out to them, they'll grasp it, they'll excel. If they don't try to convince people, because you're just going to waste your energy. See how that works? So if you're a high conscious being and you're watching this, then remember I said to you, I said high conscious beings attract similar situations. Let me tell you something about high conscious beings. The universe uses express mail with high conscious beings. Low conscious beings use local mail. What do I mean by that? High conscious beings, they'll typically get their delivery package express overnight by they get confirmations and they get messages. Low conscious beings, I'm just using the mail system, they'll get their thing just by the local mail, and they'll have to just hope and wait 5-4 days. They have no way of tracking it because they're in a different state. Because when you're high conscious, you're using the universal laws. So check this out. Everything is a sign for a high conscious being. So this is, if this video finds you watching it, I am the sign to tell you that whatever it is that you are manifesting, it is about to happen for you in the coming months. That's the sign for you. So that means you already know in your head. So it's the universe talking to me to talk to you, to tell you. Now only if you find this video, and this video found you and you're watching this, it is a confirmation that in the next few weeks to months, you will experience the very thing that you have been working on as a high conscious being. It can only be that way because we're using universal laws and principles. When the universal laws, they are set, you and I can't change them. We can only adhere to them. We can only follow them. We cannot manipulate and change a universal law. So that's a great sign for you. So that's what I want to leave you with, guys. And I will see you guys again next time.